Alright, let me tell you about something that happened to me when I was a kid. I'm 20 now, a full-grown adult, but this one night, man, it still gives me the creeps. Back then I was about 11 years old, and I was the kind of kid who thought all that supernatural stuff was a bunch of nonsense. Ghosts, spirits, you name it. ATI didn't buy any of it. But what I experienced completely shattered that worldview. It forced me to question everything I thought I knew about reality. So, picture this. It's a regular night. I'm at home, sleeping in the same room as my mom and my grandma. My dad and the rest of the family were in other rooms, but we were all under one roof. Everything was normal, quiet, you know how nights usually are. I was sound asleep, deep in dreamland, when suddenly, I just snapped awake. I glanced at the clock, and it was a little after 1 in the morning. The first thing I noticed, besides being awake, was that I really had to use the bathroom. But before I could even think about getting out of bed, I heard it. A sound. It was this weird, distinct jingling, like someone was holding a small bell, maybe like a cat's collar bell but louder, and just ringing it over and over and over again. The sound was constant, rhythmic, and it just didn't stop. Instantly, every hair on my arm stood up. I was completely frozen. All thoughts of going to the bathroom vanished. My heart was pounding in my chest, and this wave of pure, cold fear washed over me. I did what any scared 11-year-old would do. I pulled the blanket all the way up to my nose, leaving just my eyes peeking out, and I just listened. The jingling sound seemed to fill the entire room. It wasn't faint, it was loud and clear. It was so present that it felt like it was happening right there with me. I tried to figure out where it was coming from. It sounded like it was originating from the balcony, which was connected to our bedroom. The glass door to the balcony was right there, just a few feet from my bed. The thought of something or someone being out on our balcony at 1 in the morning was terrifying. I was way too scared to even think about getting up to look. I mean, what would I even do if I saw something? But here's the part that really messes with my head to this day. My mom and my grandma were sleeping right next to me, literally, just a few feet away, and they were completely undisturbed. They were fast asleep, snoring lightly, totally oblivious to the non-stop jingling that was echoing through the room. How was that possible? The sound was so loud, so persistent, there's no way they wouldn't have heard it if it was a real, physical sound. It wasn't a whisper. It was a clear, ringing bell. This went on for what felt like an eternity. I kept glancing at the clock. 10 minutes passed, then 20, then 30. The jingling just kept going, a relentless, eerie metronome in the dead of night. I started thinking, maybe this is just in my head. Am I losing it? But it sounded so real. It was as if someone was intentionally trying to get my attention, and only my attention. The fact that I was the only one hearing it made it 1,000 times scarier. It wasn't a shared experience I could get comfort from. It was mine and mine alone. I tried everything to block it out. I covered my ears with my hands, but I could still hear it, a muffled but constant jingle. I tried humming to myself, thinking about my favorite cartoons, anything to distract myself from the sound and the growing dread inside me. But it was impossible. The sound was too invasive, too specific. I just lay there, paralyzed under my blanket, my eyes wide open, staring into the darkness of the room, listening to this inexplicable noise. After almost an hour of pure sustained fear, it just stopped, abruptly. One moment it was there, filling the silence, and the next, complete quiet. The sudden absence of the sound was almost as jarring as the sound itself. The silence was so heavy, so absolute. I stayed put for another 10 or 15 minutes, just listening, waiting to see if it would start again. But it didn't. Nothing. The only sound was the gentle snoring of my mom and grandma. Eventually, sheer exhaustion took over. My adrenaline faded, and my eyelids felt like they weighed 100 pounds. I finally drifted back to sleep, though it was a restless, uneasy sleep for the rest of the night. The next morning, the first thing I did was tell my family what happened. I explained everything, the jingling, how long it lasted, how no one else woke up, and just as you might expect, they didn't believe me. My mom said I must have been dreaming. My grandma laughed and told me it was probably just my imagination running wild. My dad just shrugged it off. They all had a logical explanation for it, that it was a dream or a half-asleep hallucination. But I know what I heard. I was wide awake. I remember the feeling of needing to go to the bathroom, the feeling of the blanket in my hands, the glowing numbers on the clock. It wasn't a dream. It was too real, too sustained. I checked the balcony that morning, and of course, there was nothing there. No bells, no signs of anyone having been there. Everything was exactly as it should be. For years I've tried to find a rational explanation. Could it have been wind chimes? No, we didn't have any, and the sound wasn't like wind chimes. It was a single, continuous ringing. Could it have been a neighbor's pet? Unlikely, given the time and the fact that it sounded like it was right on our balcony. And again, why was I the only one who heard it? That experience is seared into my memory. It was the first time in my life that I encountered something that logic and reason just couldn't explain. It made me realize that maybe there are things in this world, in this universe, that we just don't understand. Maybe there are sounds that only some people can hear, or presences that only some people can feel. I never heard the sound again after that night, but I'll never forget it. It's the reason why, even now as a grown man, I sometimes get a little spooked by strange noises in the middle of the night. It's the story that comes to mind whenever someone tells me they do believe in the supernatural. Because I used to be that person, until a little bell in the dark changed my mind forever. What do you guys think? Have any of you ever experienced something similar? A sound or a sight that only you could perceive? Let me know in the comments below. I'd love to hear your stories. Because honestly, it would be comforting to know I'm not the only one. Thanks for listening, and don't forget to like and subscribe for more stories. Stay safe out there.